Here's my build for Widow, aka best DPS in the game. She's one of my favorite characters to play, and the versatility that her kit has is seemingly endless. It's just super fun to be able to come up with different builds for her. But this is my main build for her that allows for me to just melt bosses and delete enemies and have it literally infinite heroics. It's super fun to play. She generates so many orbs and just keeps her heroics up constantly. And with this build, without a damage buff active or the any other damage buffs active, just pure raw battery damage alone, she does 900k on her high cal shots. Just baseline. It's ridiculous. So I have two triple valor ISOs. I wish, if I were to be picky, I wish I could have triple 78s on this one, and I wish that I could have power attacks damage increase on both of those for the second slot. But going over the rest of the pieces here, and then I'll go in the skill tree, which is ties into these gear pieces to make them work in tandem. The heroic piece is one of the biggest culprits of this build, and that's from the elite villain sector. And if it wasn't enough to have an 8.5 increase, a second increase on your ultimate duration, the biggest thing is stealth assistance. So when you're invisible, then you're going to have just insane recharge rate of your heroics, and you're already going to be generating so many orbs. So you are never going to basically be out of your heroics. And so it's infinite Widow's Bites. And with that, whenever you have the first phase of Claw, I can solo that before he even blasts the third time with her this build. The amount of damage that she puts out is insane. And then she can delete final phase claw just by herself in seconds. It's ridiculous. So I have precision valor resolve here, and then I have precision proficiency resolve reactive cosmic surge. And so this is a much needed piece just to be able to have that cosmic surge active, and that combines and stacks with the stealth assistance on this too. So again, infinite heroics just constantly and lots of health to stay alive. And then for the range piece, I have a literal perfect roll. I'm so thankful for this. Triple 108's precision might valor, and then I have receiving accelerator because lethal vibranium on this piece allows for me to have that extra 40% damage buff against enemy weak points. All it takes is just one enemy being defeated for my high cal shot, and then I have this buff active, and it's just constantly cycling. And then faultless buff on top of that, so that would be 105% damage increase when both of those are active. And then for the melee piece, this is the main one that I run, Lethal Vibranium, and then Vibranium on Heavy combo, which the end of her combo has an intrinsic shock attack, and so it's a nice little battery effect. And then I really love this one because of the Precision Valor only with the high stats, and then the Stealth Breaker is really fantastic, so 15% increased damage whenever I'm invisible, which is literally all the time with her. And then I also use this one too for that stealth spike to have that extra 35% increased crit attack damage whenever I'm invisible. And it also has lethal vibranium, and then it's sonic for extra battery effect if I want to use that for a different type of battery with a different gameplay loop. But so those are the gear pieces for her. Um, what really makes it all work together is the slot selections that I have. So on the left one here, we have Shadow Gifts. Whenever you defeat an enemy when you're invisible, it has a 35, it says 35% chance to drop heroic orbs, but I think because of my perk chance and proficiency stat that I have, it's every enemy that I defeat while invisible generates a heroic orb. And whenever I defeat an enemy while I'm invisible, it extends the duration. And so when there's a lot of enemies and it's very dense, like in the raid, I'm basically invisible for over a minute straight. It's pretty ridiculous. And so then there's just a whole field of orbs that are there for me. And all it takes is a couple orbs because of the stealth assistance. And then usually reactive cosmic surge is happening because there's some errant laser going on. But then what also helps the DPS for this Widow's build is having this selected, the superstatic dart. The dart just sticks on the boss and just generates lots and lots more damage and status effect. And then I have an extra one here, so lots and lots of of damage going on. And then the mastery, were those ones. Increased range attack damage will overcharge. That happens quite often with this. Um, Here's the other ones that, these are just the ones that I use. This, I just want to mention on this. So these are all pretty good options. I don't really care for this one. You don't really need this. And reload speed is fine if you're reloading your weapon, but if you're reloading your weapon with Widow, I don't think you're playing her right. If you're playing with her with high cal or any weapon, once you get near the bottom of your magazine, you just switch weapon types and then switch back, and it takes just half a second and you're reloaded instantly. So don't ever do any of these. Actually, just do this one. And then this is another thing I wanted to point out. Range attack while invisible is increased by 12%, so that's just an extra 12% buff because you're going to be always invisible with this build. Um, and an extra little room for air if there's not as many enemies around whenever you pop your invisibility. That's good to have. And then an extra crit attack damage while invisible. So, and then as you can see, these are my other ones that I have selected. Um, But yeah, that's my Widow's build. It's insane. She does over 1 million damage just by herself, and her heroics are always up, and she's super fun to play. And she has a lot of other different build types, but this is the main one that I run for her.